All right, I've got my watermelon rind, and I'm gonna start by cutting it into strips. I want an end result of some 1 to 1/2 inch cubes. Set these aside. So I'm gonna cut the rind off of this. This will go in the compost, and this part here is what I'll use. So I'm just gonna chop those, like I said, about 1/2 inch cubes. So this is how much I've gotten from my one watermelon. I'm not going to use all of this today, but yeah, that was from one watermelon. So this is a deep third pan. Hey everyone, so we're going to get started on this watermelon preserve recipe. The first thing I want to do though is I want to get my canner filled with water and get that started, because it does take quite a while for this water to heat up. So I want to get that started first, so that by the time I'm ready to can, my water is good and ready. So I am just gonna fill it enough to where I have a couple of inches of water over my jars. You want the water, it's a water bath can first of all, so you want the water to be a few inches, 1 inch to 2 inches above your jars. Okay, so I'm gonna fill it up probably about 1/3 of the way. All right, because my jars are 1/2 pint jars. So I'm gonna get the water filled up in here, make sure that I have my, what's it called? This. So I'm gonna get that put in there and get this filled up halfway, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I got my water bath canner filled halfway. I turned it on high because I want that water to heat up quickly, and it takes a while to heat up. So in the meantime, I'm going to get my things together. So let me show you what I have. First of all, I'm going to use a Dutch oven to prepare the preserves. Okay, so that is going to go there. I have my jar lifter, okay, my funnel, got a magnet for my lids, to grab my lids. This magnet I got for $1 at the Dollar Tree. It was in the hardware section, and at the time it was $1. It's probably $1.25 now, if they still have them. But it's a magnet, and it just has a little, you know. So it was $1, and it works very well to pick up my lids and then put them on my jars. So that's what I got. All right, and then I have a chopstick that I'm going to use for my debubbler, and of course all of my lids and jars. I'm going to put my jars into my boiling water. Okay, and I'm going to take them back out, and then I'm going to fill them. Okay, your lids, you don't want to put your lids in boiling water. The reason why is the seal on these will get, it can get too soft, or it can cause a false seal if you boil these. So you don't want to boil these lids, okay? You can fill a bowl with hot water, just regular hot tap water, okay? Not boiling water, just regular hot tap water. put your lids in your hot tap water just for a little while, and that's good enough. All right, don't boil these lids. All right, so I also need a little bit of vinegar. Well, I'll need vinegar for my recipe anyway, but I will also need vinegar to wipe the tops of my jars. Right before you seal and close your jars and lid your jars, before you put them in the canner, you want to make sure that you wipe the rims of your jars so that there is nothing that's going to come between your jar and your lid. Okay, so when your lid is on there, you want that to be a perfect seal, and you don't want any debris or anything to be in between your lid and your jar. Okay, so that's why you wipe your rims with vinegar. Okay, so I'll get my vinegar, I'll get my chopstick out. I've already got my jars washed and my lids are all ready to go. I already showed you my lifter and my funnel, so that's all ready to go. And then I also have a towel out so that when I take my jars out of the canner, I can set them on a towel. So let me show you that. All right, so this towel is, I'm going to use this towel to set my jars on, because you don't want to set your jars on a hard surface, okay? You want to be able to have a soft surface to set your jars on. All right, so just any dish towel will do, or any towel rather. All right, so I'm going to move these jars off the stove so that I can get my Dutch oven prepared with my watermelon that I already cut up into my pot. So for the recipe, I'll show you what you need for the recipe in just a second, but for the recipe, you're going to need sugar and you're going to need vinegar. Well, you can use lemon juice, but I don't have lemon juice on hand, or even a whole lemon, but I don't have that on hand right now. So what I'm going to use is my apple cider vinegar, which is a 5% acidity. You want to make sure that you are using a 5% acidity, okay, for when you are water bath canning. So I'm going to get all those things together and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have my Dutch oven here and I have my cut up watermelon rind. For this recipe, you want to use 7 to 8 cups of your cut up rind, 3 to 4.5 cups of sugar, 1 lemon or 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. In my case, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, so that's your recipe. The first thing you do is you cut your watermelon rind into 1/2-inch pieces. Now we're going to put our 8 cups of rind in our pot, and we're going to cover and coat that with the sugar. And we're going to let that sit for 30 minutes. Now, I don't know how much watermelon I have here. This is a 1/3 pan. So a 1/3 pan tells me that it's about, I don't know, 6 quarts. There's 4 cups in a quart, so this is telling me it's about 24 cups of watermelon rind, but we'll see. So 1, 8. So we're gonna do 8 cups. I'll come back and I'll do this later because I want to go and I want to buy some more of the 1/2 pint jars, but we'll just leave it at 8 cups for now. And if you look, that's like not even half of my container, and this was just 1 watermelon, you guys. So that's awesome. I'm gonna put this back in the fridge. All right, so to my pot, I'm gonna add 4 cups of sugar. All right, so that's my 4 cups of sugar. Now I'm gonna toss that around every piece of watermelon has some sugar on it. What that's going to do is that's going to draw out all the syrup from the watermelon. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to leave this sit for 30 minutes. Chunks of sugar there. So I'm going to leave this sit for 30 minutes. Okay. And then by the time I come back, it'll be nice and syrupy, and it'll be ready for the next step. All right, so I'll be back. All right, guys, we're back. It's 30 minutes later, so we're gonna take a look and see. It still looks like there's a whole lot of sugar. It is coming out like syrupy. You can see that it's like runny now. But I feel like I'm gonna add a little bit more watermelon to this. I feel like there's a lot of sugar here, and I could probably use at least another cup or two of the watermelon, and I'll leave that sit for like another 15 minutes. All right, so now it's more of a pink color. Let me show you guys, because you're not going to be able to see it like that. If you look, it's more pink now than it was before. It was like really white. So I'm going to go ahead then with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the heating process. So I'm going to heat it to a boil and cook it for 2 hours on like medium low, or maybe even low, depending on, you know, this is a Dutch oven, so it keeps heat really well. So I might just do it on low, depending on how quickly it's cooking. And I'm going to keep stirring it and get it all reduced. See that my pot is starting to get hot now. See all the bubbles starting to come up. So that's good. All right, so it has reduced quite a bit, and you can see the watermelon pieces have become translucent, and that's what you want. So you want your pieces to become very tender and very translucent. So this is almost done. All right, so it has reduced to the point where I'm gonna go ahead and add in my apple cider vinegar. Like I said before, you want to make sure that you are at 5%. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, 5% acidity. There we go, we got some more light. 5% acidity. All right. I didn't have lemon juice on hand, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my apple cider vinegar, and I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons in here. This is a half tablespoon here. I don't know what I did with my tablespoon, so I'm gonna do 4 of these. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a teaspoon of cinnamon. So I've got my ground cinnamon. Just gonna do a teaspoon of that. All right, and then I'm gonna let that simmer for maybe 10 minutes. Okay, just let that cinnamon dissolve and, you know, get all incorporated into the mixture. You see it's got darker now. All of my watermelon pieces are translucent, and you can see how far down it has reduced. So at one point, oh dang it. So at this point you can immersion blend or blend your pieces smaller. I might have blended mine a little too much, but it's fine. So I got my jars out of the canner and they are hot, and this is called hot packing, when you have hot jars and hot liquid. I'm filling my jars to about 1/2 inch of headspace. Using a plastic fork to debubble, you don't want to use anything metal. All right, so now I am taking my plastic fork and I'm debubbling. Debubbling is when you are getting all the little air pockets out. And I have done all these, so now I'm going to wipe my rims with the apple cider vinegar. You don't have to use apple cider vinegar, but that's all I have on hand. Alright, so I got some apple cider vinegar. I'm just going to take this paper towel. You don't need a lot. You don't have to use apple cider vinegar. You can use regular, but I'm going to wipe the rims of my jars. You see that? You want to get all of the debris off of the rims so that your seals will be great. And there'll be nothing in between your jar and your lid. So, all right, so that's that. Now I'm going to get my lids. Alright, so my lids are in some warm water. What I did was I took some of the water out of my canner and I put it in here, and then I tempered it a little bit so that it just wasn't boiling water. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my jars on my lids. My lids on my jars. So alright, so all my lids are on. Now I'm going to get my rings. My rings are going to go on finger tight. So don't screw it on super tight, just finger tight, like one good twist, you know? Get it all the way on there and then one good twist. That's all you need. Alright, so these are all ready to go in the canner. Canner's going. I got my jar lifter. I'm going to lift these, put them in. You don't want your jars touching. Alright, so I've got 4 half-pint jars. Plus I have just a little bit left over that I'm going to put in a container for the hubby. I'm going to put the lid on this, and we're going to hot water bath for 15 minutes. If I didn't mention it already, I used a 1/2 inch headspace for these. So if you look at your jars, this is 1 inch, this is a 1/2 inch, and this is a 1/4 inch. You can use the lines on the jars. Inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. Okay, so 1/2 inch was about right here, but I went ahead and just filled it, you know, I just filled it up to the 1 inch. But you can use a 1/2 inch if you have enough. And I just left this little bit out on purpose. All right, so I'm gonna get the lid on these, and these are gonna go for 15 minutes. All right, so it's been 15 minutes. I turned the canner off. All right, so I'm gonna carefully remove my lid, but I'm gonna wait till I hear that simmering stop. You don't have to, but I choose to, because to me that will reduce the risk of burning myself. So I'm gonna wait till I hear that simmering stop, and then I'm gonna take my lid off. Simmering stopped. I went ahead and took the lid off. All right, I am going to remove these jars with my jar lifter and put them out on a towel. All right, that's it. They're done. That's my 4 1/2 pint jars of watermelon preserves, water bath canned from Watermelon Rinds. I am going to taste this. I'm going to have my husband taste this, and we're going to give you a review. Well, I'm going to give you the review when I come back with my next video, because this is my first time trying this recipe. I got this recipe off of Boots and Bounty Homestead's channel. I will give a link to her description. I will put a link to their channel in the description. So if you want to go and find the video that she did, then by all means you can do that as well. All right, guys, so that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you tried the recipe. Let me know what you think of the recipe. Again, it's not my recipe, but it was a recipe I got off of Boots and Bounty, and I will link that video in the description. So until next time, guys, the more you know, the more you grow. Bye, guys.